Welcome to episode 152 of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name's Trent, as always, joined by Jason. And this week we've got the best of 2017.
It's that time of year again.
Yeah, every year here at the end of the year we're doing our episode where we count down our top albums of the year.
I'm gacked up on like 48 cups of coffee, so let's do this.
Gacked up.
Number one, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, Metallica. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was so good and so big for you that it carried over into 2017 as well, right?
That's right. I do have...
That wasn't even number one the year it came out. How could it be number one this year?
I know. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm excited. Listen, first off, I gotta bring something up. I got a bone to pick with you. You didn't know about this. I wanted to wait for the tape to be rolling, but I got to put a vote in. We got to stop this 16 of 2016, 17 of 2017. It's getting crazy, man. It's like, because by the time you get to 14, 15, 16, 17, you're like, I don't know what to do. There's so many to pick from, and you got to leave something out. I mean, it's just, we gotta get a little bit more conventional. I want to put a vote in for just going back to a good old top 10.
We got to go to 2020, and then once we get to
just think about it.
Once we get to 2021, then we can go back to 10. How about that?
Man, that's gonna be crazy. Well,
I think I always did it for my benefit because I was like, "There's like 4 or 5 more albums I want to put on my top 10."
I'm telling you. Well, yeah, I guess I can hang in there. 20's like a good round number.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of OCD when it comes to that stuff, so I guess I'm okay with that. But it gets kind of tough sometimes, you know?
Yeah, especially like I said on the ones towards the end. This year's music, there's a lot of great music. But I think the last 2 years, we talked about this on those episodes, 2016 and 2015 were really, really strong.
Yeah.
So it was hard to even pick number 15 or 16. I was struggling because there was 5 or 10 albums that I wanted to be on the list that weren't making it. This year there was a few albums that didn't make my list, but I wasn't sweating over it like I normally am.
Yeah. So
I guess that means this year was a little bit under the last couple years, but I mean our top list has some strong stuff in my opinion.
Well, rock and metal is definitely alive. It's not going anywhere. You got cool new bands. You got older bands doing good stuff. It's all over the place. And this year's no different.
Yeah, and our list I just not thought of this. I didn't look through it, but we kind of span the gamut.
Yeah.
We've got some really heavy stuff, clear to stuff that falls into the glam category, stuff that falls into the punk category, progressive, whatever, the list is all over the place.
It sure is.
Classic rock.
As it should be, yeah. We got classic rock in there. So, yeah, I guess what else we got to take care of, or should we just jump in?
Well, first we can say, hope you had a Merry Christmas. We're here a couple days after that. And
that's right.
We got New Year's Eve coming up. Hope everybody's year's been good. I know ours has as far as the podcast goes.
Definitely.
Lots of great shows. I didn't write stuff down, so I don't want to start trying to rattle stuff off.
That would be, that's an exercise in futility.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember everything. I'd forget some shit.
Yeah, if we were actually doing a best of 2017 where we included music, concerts, songs, all that stuff, it would have took us a day to prepare for this, but it actually took us a few days to compile our lists in the first place.
Yeah. And it would be like a fucking 2-part.
Yeah.
It would be a Andy from Archon, Sid Falk from Overkill sized podcast.
Yeah.
And we love those guys, just saying.
Yeah. Well, so we just stick to the albums. When we combine these, basically we each make our own list and then combine them and just, with weighted numbers based off of the way they fell on each of our list. So there's a few things that fall off each of our list when we combine the two lists. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But, just kind of, we made a list just so we weren't forgetting everything.
Yeah, a master list.
Yeah, of just,
if you will.
Just kind of went through and just wrote, even if it's a band like, say, Seether, that I knew wasn't going to make my list, I still just wrote it down so I was covering all bases because surprisingly that Seether album's better than their last few albums.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it almost made my list.
Did it? It was number 18?
No, it didn't.
If this was 2018, they would have made the cut. Yeah.
No, it's probably number 352 on my list.
No, you remember when we listened to that when that came out. I said, listen to these songs. I even remember you saying, this is better than normal.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm not joking. This really happened. But, you know, there's great bands that put out albums like Cavalier, Conspiracy, Europe, Fireball Ministry, Active Defiance, Miss May I, you know, Big Wreck. You know, that would have been on my list probably if this was more encompassing of everything.
I don't even think I ever got around to listening to that one. There's
great
so much
stuff.
shit. I need to.
Ian Thornley always puts out good music. Rex Brown kind of
that
something
was
we both
one.
liked that didn't make either of our lists.
Yeah. I just saw something that I think I bitched about once, but I want to bitch about again is Jared James Nichols. You know, they released it for like 3 days and then took it away. So that would have been on my list. That would have been
because see, I still haven't listened to that since I haven't got that release got pulled, like you said. Is that heavy enough to make a hard rock metal list?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, he's big on blues and blues power because he always hashtags blues power in his posts and all this kind of stuff.
So we're talking
but, I mean, it's
like Inglorious or Lynch Mob, bluesy heavy.
If you like, you know, Black Country Communion or Glenn Hughes' last record or
Lynch Mob.
Yeah, I mean, you would have loved it. And the thing is they had a release date and it kept getting pushed back, kept getting pushed back. They finally released it like in November sometime or something like that. I can't even. And it was badass. And then I listened to it like every day for like a few days. Went to it one morning and it was gone. And it was gone. It was gone off of Spotify. It was gone off of iTunes. It was gone off of Amazon. Even on Amazon just to order the CD like a traditional, it was gone. And, you know, so I don't know what the hell's going on. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see it again in 2018. But damn it, it was good.
Well, I'm sure we'll see it at some point. So we'll be talking about this a year from now.
I hope so. I just had to bitch about it for a minute again.
Yeah. Well, skimming through here, what's some other ones I listened to that Foo Fighters, Arch Enemy, Alice Cooper almost made my list, Paradise Lost, Richie Kotzen, Junkyard.
The Greta Van Fleet was...
Well, I wanted to mention that because they basically just released 2 different EPs, so I just excluded that from contention, basically.
So we can't do EPs at all, or does it have to? I mean,
we never have.
Oh, I thought we made if it was original, then we could. I don't know, but see, I forget shit.
I mean, because we've done that in years past. I can't remember off the top of my head someone, but you know, there's always like an EP out that's great.
Yeah,
the one they released a couple months ago was 8 songs, but it was basically the old EP and a new EP they released.
These guys are going to do cool things. I just kind of want to see where they're going to go a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, for me. So.
Yeah, we talked about that a while back. You know, it's because I remember you were like, to see if they kind of branched from that real hardcore Zeppelin sound or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, as far as the 80s stuff go, Great White and Mr. Big both released great albums. Jack Russell's Great White also released an album as well as the actual version of Great White. Both those albums were
really good, yeah.
Creator came out at the beginning of the year, and that's one that I know made a lot of people's lists, and I really liked it, but I just haven't really listened to it since then, so I kind of let it slip off my list, I think. And that's kind of why Overkill fell off my list as well, and Queens of the Stone Age. You know, the list goes on. Marty Friedman had a cool album. I'm not going to list everything here. Sepultura was cool.
We go on and on.
Yeah. But just kind of getting into a few things I'm surprised. I want to say I'm surprised didn't make my list. Okay. When I, knowing they were coming out this year, if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, I would have thought Steelheart would be on my list at the end of the year.
Yeah, no kidding.
I like the album, but it just didn't grab me the same way. The first couple obviously did, even the one they had like 8 or 10 years ago.
Well, and you're a Steelheart guy.
Yeah. It's a great album, but I guess there's 17 other ones I like more. And another one was Steel Panther, because I love everything these guys have done.
Yeah.
And I even like this album. There's 3 or 4 like really strong songs, but overall, it didn't hit me the same way their first few albums did.
I get that. I can see that for sure.
Because I know you even said, Wasted Too Much Time is one of the greatest love ballads ever.
Isn't it? It's one of the greatest kiss off
love ballads,
fuck you songs ever written.
Yeah.
But and like I told you, even take the joke of that song away, and it's a great song. But I'm kind of with you. I think, I don't want to dog anything, but I think that their gimmick might be running a little thin for me. They've gotten 4 albums out of this, and I don't know.
That was the 5th one, right?
Oh, was it the 5th? I thought it was the 4th.
Okay.
But I mean, but hey, what do I know? More power to them.
Well, no, their lyrics are always hilarious, but at the same time, like you said, it's running thin. I noticed that he's having to throw callbacks to other songs, and he's like having to repeat jokes because at some point, as funny as he is, you kind of run out of material if everything's about one subject, sex or whatever.
Yep. Yep. One big dick joke.
Yeah. But going into, do we want to mention the non-metal things now or do that at the end?
Yeah, we can.
I mean, I had, like
before
I said.
Before we totally, let's do that.
Well, I say metal, but if you've listened to us before, we kind of encompass hard rock and metal. So anything that's at least punk rock or heavier, or glam rock or heavier, however you want to say that. Mm-hmm. And Big Wreck, like I mentioned, they fall more into just the regular rock category, I think, anymore. And then Sun Volta is another album I really loved, but obviously that's not rock at all. They're more Americana country rock. And their new album, Shades of Blue, was really good. Went and saw them live earlier in the year, and just a phenomenal, band from that genre that never really got as big as I think they should have.
Yeah.
And, they had a couple hits in the 90s, but glad to see them keep on going. And Jay Ferrara's got a solo album coming out this next year and doing some touring as well. So looking forward to that. I know you had a few.
Yeah.
Let me guess, Steve Earle?
Yeah. How'd you know that was going to be kind of my headliner of my little segment here? Again, I think both of us are pretty, we're pretty big on country, real country, by the way. We're not going to explain that again. If you don't know by now, then turn this shit off. Americana kind of root stuff. Guy named Coulter Wall had a great album come out this year that we both kind of discovered him. And it's just self-titled, Coulter Wall. Look him up. I mean, it's just great. Just real kind of bare bones, real solemn kind of songwriting. Margot Price, her album's called All American Made, and it's fucking amazing. She's got a great voice and, a hell of a songwriter. And then, of course, Steve Earle had an album that came out not too long ago, a month or two ago, I think. I don't know, maybe a little longer ago than that, but it's called So You Want to Be an Outlaw, and it's got Willie Nelson on it. And, I mean, it's just, if you love traditional country and Americana, this is amazing. I mean, he's just got some catchy songs, really important songs. I just saw him live in Oklahoma City a few nights ago, and it was amazing. Those are my, if we, for me, those albums would be like right up there on the top of my list, as well as, the other stuff. But, for what we're doing here. But yeah, that's my kind of left of center picks for sure.
Well, man, I want to know, did he play Copperhead Road?
Yes, he did. Yes,
that's my favorite country song, man.
It was on Chris Shiflett's podcast a month or two ago. He said he's always got some drunk idiot that's yelling out Copperhead Road
the whole show.
Yeah, he's got to go, shut up, man. I'm gonna play it. Just shut up. So there's always that one guy.
Yeah.
But it seemed like there was not that guy in Oklahoma City a few nights ago. But yes, he does play it. And it was great. It was great. He doesn't shy away from his old stuff. He played Guitar Town. He played Hardcore Troubadour, which isn't as old, but still, it was great. It was so cool. Cool to see. That guy's a legend.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other I know we had some honorable mentions that didn't make either of our lists. And one of them, well, Fozzy's another album that I was kind of surprised didn't make my list, that along with Steelheart, because like I've always loved them and I like this album as well, but it didn't hit me the same way Sin and Bones or the last couple albums did. Mm-hmm. And it's got cool stuff, but I didn't gravitate towards it like I do a lot of their stuff.
Well, the two singles, especially Judas, I mean, you're going to sing that for days once you hear it. But I just
Drinking
didn't.
with Jesus, that was
cool.
I
didn't soak up the rest of the album as much as I should have. So, there you go.
Yeah. Overkill, The Grinding Wheel, isn't that what it's called? That's the same way. I listened to it when it came out, and I really like it. It's a really strong album, but I just kind of, like I said, with Creator or something, it just kind of fell off for me as the year went on.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, does that say I'm slipping as a thrash fan, I guess?
Maybe
those two albums are...
Maybe you need to, kind of look in the mirror a little bit, Trent.
I know.
I know I do.
Powerman5000 had a new album just came out a couple months ago, and that might have made my list if it was just a tad bit stronger, because there's like about half the album. This seems like the case with most Powerman5000s.
Yeah.
It's not all killer, no filler. It's about half the album is as strong as fuck, and then the other half's kind of like, It's like Load or something, It's like half of it you're like, this is really good, and the other half you're like, whatever. But, I'm looking forward to seeing them because it's been years and they're playing Rocklahoma.
That's right.
So I'm excited about that, and they're changed the sound every album a little bit, but still sound like Power Man.
Yeah.
Power Flow is another band that I remember when that got announced, because it was a super group, but I just forgot about it until they were coming here, opening for Bavaria, right?
Yeah.
And so I checked it out and was just really surprised about how much I liked that album.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't bad. And this is coming from a guy that's not really that big on rap,
Yeah.
But I really didn't mind it at all. It sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's even singing more than I think he did with like Cypress Hill. So it's got the rap metal elements, but then it's also got more singing than you expect. So that's a cool one to check out if you haven't yet. It's also got Christian Old Wolbers. Have you say that?
I think you got it.
They used to be in Fear Factory. And it's got...
Billy from Biohazard.
Oh, yeah. Billy from Biohazard. What else do we have? Lynch Mob. I'll probably get shit from Jason Carroll that this didn't make my list. But I kind of got towards the end of my list and thought it was going to be there.
You down.
But I bumped it for Sweet and Lynch.
Yeah.
Because I thought we could have made a top 17 of George Lynch albums, probably.
Yeah.
Didn't he release 18 of them this year?
Yeah, because and that's just the ones we know about. Who knows whatever the hell else he's done.
Right. But, yeah, that one, I mean, Lynch Mob's always strong. They've never released anything I didn't care about recently. I mean, he had that Smoke and Mirrors thing way back in the day. But most of their stuff's been great, and they're highly underrated. Oni Logan's powerful as hell.
Yeah, he is.
This album's no different.
And they're great live, by the way.
Yeah. Never gets old.
No.
But getting into actual official honorable mentions.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Okay, yeah. For me, it's Trivium and HAVOK, and I'm surprised Trivium wasn't on your list more.
Me too.
That was a great fucking record. And HAVOK the same way. I mean, that's just thrash metal personified. And, I don't know what happened with you. You had to pick a bunch of bullshit, so mine got carted off. Whatever, Trent. Whatever.
Right.
But no, in all seriousness, those are my honorable mentions. They were on my list.
The Sin in the Sentence.
Yes, The Sin in the Sentence.
Well, we talked about that when it came out. We both really liked it, and I liked it. It's just another thing that didn't stick with me.
Yeah.
But it's got what we talked about, some really strong, as good as songs as they ever did,
Yeah. Oh, no kidding. And then, what was the song on the Heart Inside Your Head or something like that? See, I can't even remember that's,
The Heart in the Hand, maybe?
That's how bad I suck. The Heart from Your Hate.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, Trivium and Trivium fans. That is a great song. So.
What was the song, like Breaking Something? Or
Breaking Something?
or early on in the album. Does it start with a B? I don't know.
Beyond Oblivion.
Yeah, there we go. Beyond Oblivion. That song for me really jumped out.
Yeah. And then HAVOK had, their album was called, what, Conformicide?
Right.
And yeah, Conformicide. And that was insane.
Just a great, I mean, they're not new anymore. They've had several, they've been around a while, a few albums. But they're just as strong as a thrash band as any of the bands back in the day, you know?
Yeah, and they've got one song that kind of like goes into that. It's kind of got a funky kind of thing, like all those bands used to do back then. Reminds you of like, you know, Scatterbrain or something. All those bands on Headbangers Ball used to do every now and then.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a great record, and that's why it was on my list. So
it's about time you mentioned Scatterbrain on this podcast.
Hey, dude, don't call me dude. Okay. That shit still holds up. It's a great fucking record.
Have you listened to it?
Yeah, I listened to it. What?
Modern Times?
Yeah, it was this year sometime. I busted out some Scatterbrain. It was great.
Did you listen to Bad for Good this year?
No. Ooh, I should. I listened to Animal Bag. Do you remember them?
I remember that name, but I don't know.
They showed the video in Headbangers Ball all the time. They looked like some kind of funk metal thing. And their song was Everybody's Got to Get Out of the Country or something like that. Or get out of the city and move to the country. And they ended it with a little Green Acres.
Right.
Oh, man, if you heard it, you might remember it.
I don't know. I was too busy listening to Mother's Day Out.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Or
remember those guys? They're from Arkansas.
Yeah. Mothers, not mothers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mother's
Day Out. Yep.
Or Greta,
in the guy in the dress. Yeah, without the Van Fleet.
Yeah.
Probably about
That's true. Yeah.
25 years ago, just Greta. Guy played in the dress. And we had a interesting journey to Kane's Ballroom to go see them.
We'll have to tell that story sometime. Get Thrasher on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, we should. Jesus. That's a whole episode. We can't go into it here, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about Greta on the best of 2017?
Who knows?
I should have Googled if they had an album
this is the joy of us, I guess.
Right.
But we need to get into this goddamn list here.
Well, hold on. My two albums
fell
off the list were Sweet and Lynch's Unified. This is a band that I'm just loving both these albums because kind of like we talked about, I think when the first one came out, I know you were never big on Stryper. I always thought they were okay, but I was never huge on him. I liked him and I like his voice, but there's just something about when you put Michael Sweet's voice with George Lynch, with someone that has way more attitude, I think, to their playing than what Stryper had.
Yeah.
Or has. I mean, because the last Stryper album was good, but this just, I don't know what the word is, more ballsy. Mm-hmm. Like I said, attitude. I mean, there's ballads on here, like Tried and True. You know, it's just a classic 80s style ballad, and it's really good. It would have been huge if it was 1991, but there's Promised Land and Afterlife and all this stuff is just, if you like heavy rock if you like Anthrax, like heavy music with soaring vocals, you should give this a listen. It's not as heavy as Anthrax, but it's, you know, you could throw Michael Sweet in that same category as Joey Belladonna, have a phenomenal voice.
Definitely, yeah. His voice, I never really liked Stryper because, you know, his voice just kind of bothered me back in the day. But nowadays, like when I hear Sweet and Lynch stuff, because like you said, the last one was fucking great. It just, I guess it's maybe because he's older, his voice just seems a little bit more, you know, I don't know how to say it, you know, mature in a way. I don't know. That
there's more to it than just the highness,
and
you know?
It's way better. And I haven't listened to this one, but, you know, the first one was fucking great.
Yeah. Well, the other album that fell off my list was Sons of Apollo, or fell off our list, sorry.
Yes.
And this album I was really excited for, just based off of who was involved. And we've talked about before, you never know. The last several years have provided supergroups that have lived up to the hype. Mm. And I think this one's no different. And I like the fact that it's a little different because a lot of these supergroups are just like heavy, or they're just, you know, like the Winery Dogs or something where it's just rock. There's not many that are just like falling into this category, which is more progressive metal, I guess. And I still didn't even really think it was going to fall that way with Bumblefoot being the guitarist.
Really?
And, you know, because you have the Portnoy that's from that world.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Scott Soto, I guess, kind of, you know, we talked about his album last year.
Yeah.
Remember or it's just called Soto.
Yep.
that was a really good album, and it was pretty heavy. But I still thought with him at the helm, you know, we might have like just a real hard rock style album. But we got something even heavier, and Bumblefoot really kind of stole the show on this for me. When you're talking having Portnoy and Billy Sheehan, you know, two of the best ever at their instruments.
Yes.
You think that the rhythm section is going to steal the show for me, but it was, I mean, just this album's just full of just like great guitar riffs and just memorable, you know, music.
Yeah.
And Bumblefoot's a huge part of that. And Soto, you know, his voice he's just one of those underrated guys that have never caught on with the mainstream. And, you know, same with Bumblefoot. Most people just know him because he was in Guns N' Roses for a while. And so this is a good thing, I think, for him to show people what he's made of, and hopefully, you know, I don't hope it takes off huge because I want Winery Dogs to still be the main focus for two of those guys. But
me too, man. Me too.
But I would love it if something came of this. I mean, what's his name? Derek Sherinian says that it is gonna because it's the greatest band of all time because he's in it. You know.
Oh yeah, he was on Eddie Trunk and he was talking like it was the second coming of the fucking Beatles.
Right.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I wouldn't say it's that great, but it's close.
Don't tell him that.
Right.
He might get mad at you.
Well, let's get into the real deal here now.
Okay.
We got, much to Jason's chagrin, we're kicking this off at number 17.
Yeah.
And the first album that made the official list at number 17 is Accept the Rise of Chaos.
Should be higher.
Hey, that's my fault.
Hey, it's just how the numbers worked out. That's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time.
And the reason it's not higher is because that's another one that I kind of slipped on.
Oh, yeah?
When The Rise of Chaos, the single came out, I listened to it and I was like, man, this thing's badass. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? I'll admit it right here. I never listened to the album.
Really?
So
oh, man.
That's why if I had, I'm sure it would be on here, and that might be making this thing not as official as the list should be. But hey.
It's a great fucking record. Just like, you know, Latter Day Accept is so good. I mean, it's all great, but it's just, you know, with the singer now that they've got, Mark Tornillo, just like supercharged them, you know? I mean, in everything. His vocals are just unmatched, okay? You know, the riffs, the machine gun riffs, there's hooks for days, and like sonically the records sound fucking flawless. And, you know, Die by the Sword, Hole in the Head, The Rise of Chaos, Kool-Aid. I mean, every Analog Man, every fucking one of them is just like this hook that gets stuck in your head. Like, you know, after you listen to the album, your brain can't compute everything it's heard because it wants a song to get stuck in your head, but your brain can't pick which one. There's so many hooks. I mean,
that's cool.
You've got to check this record out, I'm telling you. So that's why it's definitely on my list, and I'm glad it made the list. Because, if you haven't, you know, everyone's like, oh, is that the Balls of the Wall band? Yes, it is, and that's great. And we love that song, but listen to this new stuff they're doing. It's great. Yeah,
I remember I listened to the last couple of albums because you kept telling me how great the new stuff was, and it was really cool. And I mean, I almost liked it more than the stuff I'd listened to a long time ago, you know? But with Udo. You know?
Yeah, it's like I have nothing against Udo, but this stuff is it's just out of the gate, just 100% badass.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not going to be that badass when I'm 62. I goddamn guarantee you that. It's great that these guys can do this kind of stuff still.
So you know what? They should go on tour in America with Saxon.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they should. They fucking should. That's a good idea, man. Have Night Demon open up.
That's true.
Because Night Demon's opening for Accept in Europe anyways.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
Yep.
We might mention that name here and again.
We might, here in a little bit.
Well, it'd be cool if it was a quadruple bill of those three bands and Prong right there in the middle.
That'd work.
And that's my transition into number 16. Was Prong 0 Days. And yes. Prong, we've talked about this every time we talk about Prong, is that we'll be talking about this on the next band as well, but they've been pumping out albums like every year. Yeah. Which is not normal in this day and age.
Yeah, no kidding.
Especially for an established band. You know, in this day and age, people are like, well, I'm just going to release a singles or EPs, you know, and they might release a full album every 3 years. But Prong is literally full-on albums. The last 5 years, I think there's been 4 studio albums and a covers album. So there's been an album every damn year.
I know.
And the last 3 years, I know they've made our list because they're
that
consistent.
Damn good. Yeah.
They're, Tommy Victor buys into the hashtag all killer no filler.
That's right.
And 0 days, it's just, what are your thoughts out the gate? Same thing,
It sounds good. I mean, there's hooks. It's been a while since I've listened to it. There's one song that really jumped out at me. I think it was Forced Into Tolerance, is what I want to say. But I mean, it seems like for a while, he kind of put Prong on the back burner, and I don't think it's that way anymore, and I'm really glad.
Yeah.
He's just putting out some quality stuff, really is. It just, he can just great songs peel off the guy, and that's pretty refreshing. So I'm glad it made the list too.
Yeah, like that time between all the 90s stuff and the last several years, there was that big gap where he was even in Danzig for a while and he did other stuff. And so it's really cool that this is back to being the focus. And another thing I always like to talk about is how I think his voice has progressed like amazingly over the, a lot of people, like more diehards, might not. You got to agree his voice is great, but they might lean towards the older stuff because he had more of a hardcore style of singing.
Yeah.
And now he's more of just a singer.
Yes.
Over that same kind of metal. And I like it even more. I mean, I'm not going to say I like it more than Rude Awakening or, what's the one I'm forgetting? The one before that. Cleansing. That obviously, or beg to differ.
Yeah.
But I just like the way he's singing now. And I think, his voice has only gotten better with age. And like you said, the song 0 Days, Divide and Conquer, this thing's chock full of great stuff.
Yes, it sure is.
It'll be interesting to see if 2018 brings yet another Prong album.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Well, Cheap Trick, We're All Right. Excuse me. We're All Right.
Yes.
Came out this year, and that falls in at number 15 on our list. And they're the same way where they've released albums. They just released an album like less than a year before this one came out. Right at a year, and it was on our list last year. And so for a band like Prong to do it is pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. But then for a band like Cheap Trick to do it, for me, is even crazier.
Yeah.
Because this is like a band that a lot of bands in our position don't release anything new.
Exactly.
Let alone 2 new albums in the span of 1 year.
Yeah. And didn't they do a fucking Christmas album too? Yeah,
I saw that just a couple of days ago on Spotify. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they had Christmas songs in the past, but yeah, they did a full-on album this year. So they've recorded 3 full albums in less than a year's time, probably.
Yeah, it's pretty prolific what they're doing. And get just like, accept, to be at this stage and they're still putting out quality stuff.
Yeah.
That's important, I think.
Yeah, you can never say enough about Robin Zahner's vocals.
Yeah.
And how, it's another band that if people think Cheap Trick, they're just going to, like I said, bands like this don't do this because they're just going to gravitate towards the hits, the old stuff, the classic rock.
Yeah.
They've got several big hits, and that's what most people are going to want to hear. They're not going to care about something new. But if you just listen to this album or the last album, whatever, and hear some of these songs, they're as good as anything they did in the 70s or early 80s.
Exactly.
Long Time Coming, I think, was the first single, and that's another one of those songs that just stuck in your head for 3 days after you hear it. Radio Lover, Brand New Name on an Old Tattoo is a better version of the theme that Motley Crue wrote with New Tattoo. But anyway, She's All Right. I'm just glad that these guys are not just resting on
yes, exactly
their previous greatness and continuing to make a new greatness.
And when you people out there go see this band live and they play a new song, don't go piss, don't go get a beer, stay and watch the fucking song.
Yeah,
because it's awesome.
You'll appreciate it just as much as Surrender, I believe.
Exactly.
And another thing to point out is as busy as they are releasing albums, they're touring, and then Xander recorded the cover, Steel Panther covered She's Tight on their album.
Oh, that's right.
And he recorded vocals with Michael Starr. And then Joe Perry just had a song come out for his new. I guess he's got a solo album come out in 2018, and Xander sings that.
I know, and that's a great fucking song too.
Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to hearing more from that. I don't know if I really don't know anything about that Joe Perry thing. Do you know? I wonder if it's going to have.
I know he's doing an album. I don't know if he's got like different singers on it or whatever.
That kind of makes me think it might just be different singers on each song. That's just cool. But
remember "Walk On Down"? I always liked that. He sang on that. That was a great song.
Well, getting into number 14, Powertrip.
Yes.
Nightmare Logic.
Swing the axe, motherfucker.
So, this is a band that kind of, for me, came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. This was their first... No, they had another album a while back, but this is the first one where they kind of got some traction.
Yeah. They
were all over Sirius. You started hearing Executioner's Tax, Swing of the Axe.
Yes.
Started hearing that a lot. And thinking, man, this is badass. And then you'd see their name pop up all of a sudden, like they're opening for Anthrax and Lamb of God, and then they're opening for, I can't remember, they were just on several of those, and then all of a sudden they were on all the festivals last year. They're on some of them this coming year, like in America, not just in Europe. And then decided to check this thing out, and man, this, from the get-go, Soul Sacrifice, how it blends right into Executioner's Tax. Mm-hmm. This thing's just riffs fucking galore.
Yeah, and it just sounds so big, and it sounds caustic. It's like reminiscent of the early, just real raw thrash, you know?
Like you kind of said, the skater thrash when you first
told me? Yeah, exactly.
That suicidal kind of
it's got that
rawness.
I fucking love it. And like me and you talked about the other day, they're from Dallas. How do we not fucking
know about them before this year?
How did we fall asleep on this shit? You know? It's insane. We're awake to it now, so.
Yeah, Nightmare Logic. It's only 8 songs, but it's strong as hell.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to what these guys do in the next couple of years as far as more music and keep touring. Like I said, they've been on a lot of big name tours. So I think they're one of those bands that are going to keep kind of getting those spots and moving on up in the world of the heavy stuff.
I hope. They deserve it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, number 13 is Inglorious.
Okay.
And the album is called 2. And this is one that I almost struggled on how high to put this. I wanted to put this at one point. I wanted to put this like at number 4 on my list. That's how much I love it.
Damn.
But I just kept, all the other stuff just kind of kept. I'm like, no, it's not that good. But it's not better than this in my opinion, but it's close. But just from the get-go, this came out the same day as Warrant's album. So at first it got lost for me. But then, like within that first week, I remembered it was out and put it on. And then for like 2 weeks, I was just listening to Warrant's new album and this album over and over. And this is one of those bands that they kind of doing that same thing that Lynch Mob does, where it's real heavy, hard rock, almost metal, but it just lies into that blues based stuff in the same way that they do with just phenomenal guitar work and an amazing vocals. Like Nathan James' vocals are like, if you said what's your favorite vocal performance of any of these albums, that might be number 1.
Yeah, the guy can sing for sure.
Yeah, and it's a band that a lot of people still haven't caught on with, I don't think, and I'm surprised. Like, I don't know, I haven't listened to Eddie Trunk a lot this past year, but it seems like the type of band he would be pumping, and I don't know but you don't hear him a lot on Sirius. So I hope that this is a band that people, they're making a kind of music that's never going to be mainstream.
No, yeah.
But, they're from, I think, England.
Yes.
And they're the type of band that could blow up in Europe. So,
oh, yeah, totally. Have they even been over here yet?
Not that I know of.
Oh, yeah.
I think they might. I saw something maybe last year with them in LA or something, but I don't think they've done a tour.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, I'd love to see that band. Remember, that first album is just as good as this one, and they've even done covers of like what they did, "Fool for Your Lovin'."
Man, that was so fucking good, man.
Yeah.
Look that up on YouTube. That's worth a watch for sure.
Yeah, this is a band that I wish, like I kind of already just said that. I wish more people would just like pay attention to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to be mainstream, so you have to look for it. So hopefully someone hearing this will give it a shot. And I mean, it's just one of those things you hit play on and never stop because each song's as good as the last.
That's right. We love those kind of records.
Yeah. Hashtag all killer, no filler. That's why we say that, right?
That's right. That is right.
Well, number 12 is Tricounty Terror Revenge.
Yes, it is. Another Dallas band.
Oh, they're from Dallas too?
Yes.
Wow.
They're from Dallas.
So we need a show at Trees with Tricounty Terror and
I know.
Powertrip.
I know. And that's and that's kind of how I kind of discovered this band is, I'd seen the name around, and then I saw the name. It was on that tour with Crowbar and Insight and whatever, and then somebody in my friends list, I can't remember who, was somebody that we followed because of the podcast that we don't really know.
Todd Strange.
Yeah. And that was somebody on my, on Facebook. I was looking through my feed, and they're like, heading down to Dallas to see Tricounty Terror's, farewell to the tour show or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, that's it. I've seen this name enough times. What the fuck? So I look it up, and they're from Dallas, and they fucking rule. And their album's called Revenge, and it's real, just raw, gritty, fucking, just if you like, if you like stuff like Motorhead and kind of more on the, if you like all the kind of, it's not slow like Crowbar, but if you kind of like that just raw and super joint and kind of, just almost a punk thing, but with enough metal. I mean, Tricounty Terror is your thing. Beat on Sight, that Liquored Up, that's a great one. I mean, it's just, it's mean and it's rude.
Well, something we need to point out before we get further along with this, for if someone has never heard of this band, this is all females.
Yes, and I try to stay.
I mean, you don't want
neutral.
to have to point that out, but I'm just like, they're not a band that a lot of people have heard of, so I just wanted to mention it for people.
And that's, I just think that's refreshing, to they're doing it just as, I see, this is why I don't, it's just a great fucking record, and it's the kind of stuff I like. It's just, short songs, raw, no frills, just mean, whiskey drenched fucking, punk kind of metal. I mean, it's just great. It's just kind of Roadhouse metal type kind of stuff,
Roadhouse
not
metal.
Roadhouse the movie, but
I know what you mean. Which is, Lemmy, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, if you like, if you like Motorhead, okay, and if you like drinking whiskey, and if you like fucking, and if you like fighting, you're going to love this record.
So if you're a normal human being, you should love this record.
Even though I don't really like to fight, and
well,
the fucking doesn't happen very often, but maybe 2018 will change that. But anyways, what I'm saying is, this was, high up on my list. I've listened to this record 1,000,000 times this year, so yeah, I mean, I'm just glad to talk about it for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let's drop to number 11, which is Body Count, Bloodlust.
That's right.
This one for me would probably be number 1 on my surprised at how great it was list.
Yeah.
They've always had stuff I've liked. The last album was really good a couple years ago. But this one just blew me away at how great it was. And I mean, if some of the stuff in our top 5 or 6 didn't come out this year, like, this is good enough for me to be in a top 3.
Yeah.
And it's another all killer, no filler. And there's just so much great stuff here that just kind of spans the range of everything that Body Count has ever done. I think I mentioned this when it came out. It's kind of one of those all-encompassing albums. You don't think of a lot of different styles when you think of Body Count. It's Ice-T rapping over REC's riffs,
Yeah.
But still, there's different caveats of what they've done throughout the years,
And I'm just glad they're back and they're a little bit more active these days.
Yeah, because when they came back, I thought, okay, he's going to do this summer.
And then
they release this album, and then might get it again in 6 years if we're lucky. But no, like, this has become like the second thing he does besides SVU, probably.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it pisses people off, which I fucking love.
Right.
I mean, I really like the song No Lives Matter, because they fucking don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Well, with a song like No Lives Matter, even if you didn't agree with Ice-T's politics, that's that song. He looks at everything from a complete, perspective.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with everything he's saying, he's not just one-sided in his views,
Yeah.
But then he gets into real hardcore subjects like the ski mask way, talking about the old school, the way he supposedly used to be, and then you've got stuff like Black Hoodie, where it's a real political song.
That's a good one.
And then, of course, they've got this cover of Rain and Blood Postmortem.
Which is fucking badass.
Yeah, which is even better than I imagined, because you think about that in your head, and then it's but the way Ice-T raps, it falls into that way where that works very well.
Exactly.
And Jamie Jost always says, Tom Araya is my favorite rapper, so that's why that works so well. And my favorite song on the album was co-written by a previous guest of this podcast, Doc Coyle.
Oh, that's right. God, how did I forget that?
This Is Why We Ride. Such a great song. I mean, it's just so epic and huge. And, I mean, you could tell that Doc Coyle's, writing really shines through on that. Because, God forbid, and the stuff he's doing now with Bad Wolves, is just, real well-crafted songs. And this is no different. And Civil War,
how
the
cool is
kickoff
that?
song with
Yeah.
Dave Mustaine.
Oh, God, that's right. Jesus, I need to go back and listen to this. See, I listened to it when it came out. I need to listen to this again.
Do it as soon as we hit stop.
I just might. I just might.
Okay, getting into the top 10. If Jason had his way, this is where this podcast would have started.
Yeah, that's right, damn it.
Tricounty Terror wouldn't even been on the list.
Well...
See, now this is where...
Okay, maybe. Okay, now...
You see why I do these things?
All right. You're looking out for me.
I did, yeah. Well, kicking off the top 10 is Danko Jones and the album Wildcat.
Yeah.
Danko Jones is one of those bands that when I know they have an album coming out, I know it's going to be in my top 10 before hearing it.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I know that you're the same way. Just an unbelievable... I'm going to say this like I did about some previous bands and probably some here coming up that way too underrated. He's had some... success with Sirius and gotten on tours with Volbeat in the past and stuff where, they've gotten exposure. But Danko Jones should be on that high level of bands where, you go to a festival and they're the second band down.
I agree.
He's just full of attitude. He's just one of the best frontmen. He's just got that phenomenal voice. His songwriting is unbelievable. Tongue-in-cheek lyrics, a la Butch Walker or something.
Yeah.
Just a talent that's unmatched by any, a lot of people these days.
And the songs are catchy and fun and, they're rude and they kick your ass. I mean, Danko Jones, he's bigger over in Europe, other parts of the world. And when it comes to the U.S., It makes me just kind of want to get rude with people. It makes me want to say, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Put down your fucking Five-Finger Death Cunt fucking records and your Breaking Benjamin and fucking put on some Danko Jones. What the fuck is wrong with you people? And that's really rude and that's mean and I'm sorry. But that's just it. It makes me, as much as I love listening to this band, it makes me angry that they're just not, I mean, you want rock and roll? Well, fuck, here it is. Yeah. Pay this guy some attention because he deserves it.
It's pure attitude rock and roll. It's like AC/DC for a new millennium. Even though he doesn't really sound like AC/DC, but it's what you're going to get, and it's always fucking good.
Yeah, it's no bullshit.
Yeah. And Wildcat is no different. The first 4 or 5 songs to me, I think the first 5 songs really strong. The rest of it's good too, but My Little R&R is one of my favorite songs of the year.
Yeah,
Going Out Tonight, classic Danko Jones. And then you get into the 4th song, which we both talked about when this came out.
You Are My Woman. It's holy shit.
Yeah, this is almost, I remember when I listened to this, I'm like, man, this sounds like Thin Lizzy. It's just crazy. And it's like almost like to a point that it's weird. And then I read, like a few days after the album came out, I read his synopsis of all the songs, and he said this was my tribute to Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, it's like,
and I'm like, okay, well now it makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I mean, if you're a Thin Lizzy fan and someone does tribute to him, you're going to have to do a good job to hold up to the standard of what Thin Lizzy did in the 70s, you know? And he does an amazing job of paying tribute to that band. But yeah, doing this every night, Wildcat, she likes it. Such a great album.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong, and come on. Give this guy some love. He's got a ton of records. You don't even know what you're missing. Yeah. You'll thank us. You'll thank us. You really will.
Yeah, like you hit play and just go through these albums. Yeah. It just doesn't get old. And yeah, I mean, I'm talking Nickelback, Foo Fighters, Avenged Sevenfold. I don't care who the fuck you are. This band should be opening for you in arenas. You know?
Yeah. And a lot of those bands really fucking love Danko Jones.
Yeah.
You know?
You know Dave Grohl does.
Oh, yeah.
Well, moving on up the top 10, number 9 is Black Country Communion and their album BCC IV.
We got it. It happened.
It's 2017. It's another year and another time.
10 years?
Has it been that long?
No, it hasn't. It's, oh God, when was their last? It's been a while. We can just say that, you know.
I might have think it was like 2010.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Let me look right here. Afterglow was 2012.
Okay. So 5 years. Yeah. I'm sorry.
But look, we're here in 2017. It's a new year, and yet Glenn Hughes is on our list once again.
That's right, as he should be.
Like every year, like last year was with his solo album. Mm-hmm. 2015 was with California Breed.
Yeah. Yep.
2014 was with, what do you have before California Breed? Didn't you have another band?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm forgetting. I know there's like 3 years in a row already. But the point is, Glenn Hughes is going to find his way on it. Next year, if he doesn't have an album out, I'm going to put Joe Satriani's album on this list just so Glenn Hughes is on the list again.
I can already tell you I'm going to do it.
Well, you know it will be anyway, because Joe Satriani is one of your guys. But
and it's just Chad Smith, Glenn Hughes, and Joe Satriani. I mean, how badass is that?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Usually he's got a ton of different musicians. Anyways, we're getting off subject. Sorry.
The Black Country Communion is back. If you don't know about him, I'm sorry for you. But besides Glenn Hughes, we've also got Joe Bonamassa.
Yes.
We've got Jason Bonham
on
the drums. And who am I forgetting? Derek Sherinian.
Derek Sherinian.
Yeah, from Sons of Apollo and, of course,
the
Dream
best
Theater
band
back
ever
in the day.
World.
Yeah. And, of course, he used to be in Dream Theater. But so Black Country Communion is filled with top amazing talent.
Yes.
And same way, this is their fourth album because it's called 4. Hashtag all killer, no filler. This is a band that just oozes with talent and oozes with songwriting because we already know Glenn Hughes is going to bring the songs.
Oh, definitely.
Joe Bonamassa has done the same thing. He is a phenomenal talent that you can't really say is underrated because even though he's not a mainstream guy to a lot of people, he still fills up theaters.
Yes.
And everybody knows how insanely talented he is. But when you put him and Glenn Hughes together, it's just something different that is even better than Bonamassa solo, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. Bonamassa, he's pretty big in the blues world,
right?
You know, but I mean, and as much as I love Glenn Hughes, I think my favorite song on this record is the last song from My Resting Place, which Joe sings on.
Yeah,
and it's just that song is so strong and it's so good and it's so epic, and it I ran away with it. It was just great. But I mean, it's all great. It's all good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was surprised the first time I listened to it that my favorite song wasn't sung by the voice of God, Glenn Hughes.
Yeah, I was out there on that patio when I first heard it, and I was like, damn. Wow, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, you're talking Collide, Over My Head, The Cove, The Crow. These all songs sung by Glenn Hughes and are fucking phenomenal. And I just wish, I've said this every time we've talked about him on this podcast, I wish they'd do some shows in America. You know, I know they're never going to do a tour, but, you know, do 5 or 6 shows so we can get something within 8 hours of here. Go to Chicago or Houston or Denver or something. Just, because my life goal is obviously to see Glenn Hughes in any capacity. That's number one on my bucket list. But to see this band would be even more special.
And see, that's the thing is like, there's not many bands that we're going to drive 8 hours to see because you usually don't have to. A lot of bands are playing close by.
Yeah.
But this is one where if they were doing Chicago or Nashville or something, like, well, fuck, probably want to do it because it's probably never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And I agree, yeah.
Because that last album, I think it was the last album, they played a few shows in America, and one of them was St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah.
And we so we dropped the ball.
That shit.
Yeah. That'll be one I kick myself forever.
Oh, yeah.
If they don't do something like that again. But getting into about the halfway point here on the list is Rancid, Troublemaker.
Yes.
This, to me, this is another band. This is probably the least heaviest band on our list.
Yeah.
But we let them slide in there because you could call it hard rock, punk music. They're more of they're not the heavy side of punk, but they're fucking Rancid and we love them. And we both know that when an album comes out, we're going to dig it.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, Troublemaker is my favorite Rancid album since Out Come the Wolves.
Really?
That's how much I like it.
Wow.
I know you don't agree with that, but...
Well, I will say I like this one better than the last one they put out a couple years ago. I still think Dominoes Fall, I like that better than this one. But this is a fucking superb fucking album. I think Bova Rock and Roll is worth it. I mean, worth the money just right there. But I think the first 3 songs, it starts out great with Track Fast, Ghost of a Chance, and Telegraph Avenue. That's those 3 songs and together, just it comes out of the gate swinging. And those are 3 of my favorites on the record, along with Bova Rock and Roll. Farewell Little Blue's great too.
Yeah, I was about to mention Farewell Little Blue.
Yeah. And go ahead.
But no, I was going to say if I was making a top 10 songs of the year, Bova Rock and Roll would probably be on that list.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, if you're more metal or rock and you don't really get into punk, I understand that. But check that song out. You'll love it. It's got
like
that
70s
old,
rock.
It's like 70s. If you like old Kiss, like really old Kiss,
the first couple albums.
Yeah, you'll love this. And side note, if you search this album on YouTube, Rancid, Troublemaker.
Oh, that's right.
The whole thing, they do the whole album. They're just playing in the garage, and it's like a pro shot, whatever, and it's just them playing in the garage, and they go through the whole album. It's and you know what, they've got 16 songs or whatever, and it's like 35 minutes long or
19.
That's a deluxe version.
Oh, right.
I don't think they got.
Okay,
but anyways,
right.
They've got all these songs, and it's like 35 minutes long. But it's one of the coolest things to watch because, I mean, it's just it's a really cool bonus thing to watch. So definitely check this album out.
Say Goodbye to Our Heroes is another song that really jumped out at me too.
Oh yeah, that is a good one.
But yeah, moving right along, number 7.
Totally switching gears.
Yeah,
but that's what we do here.
This is what we've always prided ourselves on in the 2.5 years of this podcast.
This is the kind of shit that got us. Yeah. People make fun of us for in school, but we didn't give a shit.
We have a wide range of stuff we love, and this is right there at the top, which is Warrant. Their new album, Louder, Harder, Faster, came out back in May, and as corny as this sounds, that's a great title for what they did because, to me, I know you absolutely love Rockaholic, and I love it too, but I like this better than Rockaholic, and to me, this is the best Warrant since Dog Eat Dog on a whole.
Yes, I have to agree, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree too, is when I first heard this, I was like, I still like Rockaholic better. But when you really get into this and listen to it and pay attention to it, it's better. I mean, the songs are a little bit, it's
just more solid as an entire thing. Like Rockaholic had a few songs I could skip if I wanted to.
Well, for me, it was like one of the 80s glam bands made a new record. No, this is something bigger, something more important, something that, they took a little bit more time on. It sounds more mature and in the songwriting and in the recording. And this is just like classic rock. And, I don't know if Jeff Pilson had a hand in that or what, because he produced the record, but I mean, it's just,
you want to know what my thoughts are on that is?
This ends up coming across a little bit more epic than Rockaholic, even though, I love that record.
Well, we all know with Warrant, obviously, the heyday of Warrant, Jani Lane's the chief songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the couple albums after, he was gone, the one of Jamie St. James, and then Rockaholic, the first one with Robert Mason, where he wasn't involved with writing. They're good, but I don't think they're as good as this one, and I think that this might be the first one. I can't guarantee it might be the first one that Robert Mason had a hand in everything.
Yeah.
And the last one, I know he had a hand in some of it.
Okay.
And
see, I didn't know for sure. I was going to ask you that.
And see, but I might be wrong about Rockaholic on that front, but I know on this one he had a hand in it. And that really, this dude's a great songwriter. We've known that from those albums he did with Big Cock and the stuff he worked on with George Lynch, that he's amazing at crafting a song. And there's even a couple songs on here, like New Rebellion especially, that sounds like this was a Big Cock song.
Yeah. For
those of you who don't know, that was a band that Robert Mason had when he joined Warrant. He had a band called Big Cock, which is one of the best band names ever.
Oh, yeah. But they were so good they could back it up.
Yeah. It was just pure attitude-driven hard rock.
Saw him at Rocklahoma was great.
Yeah, just balls to the wall, hard rock and roll. And that's what New Rebellion is. And even the first song, Louder, Harder, Faster, those two songs to me jump out as something that if he was writing a new Big Cock album instead of Warrant, those two songs would have been on that album.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and again, it's like, in no way am I trying to minimalize this genre at all, because it's one of my favorites. It's what got me into music to begin with, and I still think it's important today, even if some don't. But just the only way I can describe it in my limited vocabulary, I guess, is just it's so much more just like epic and like mature, I hope that comes across okay. I don't mean it insulting at all. It's such a great fucking album.
Yeah. And another thing I liked about this album was that the songs span the gamut of everything that you have known from Warrant.
Yeah.
You've got, like those two songs I just mentioned, the ballsy attitude hard rockers.
Yeah.
And then you've got Perfect, the third song, which is your mid-tempo, fast-paced rock ballad. And that's, to me, one of the best songs of the year.
Yeah.
And then you've got stuff like Music Man, where it's more bluesy rock. And then you've got, Only Broken Heart and Faded, which are more your standard kind of thing.
Is there any groove-laden rockers on there?
Yeah, I think that might be what Perfect is.
Yeah.
A groove-laden rocker. Devil Dancer, the same kind of thing, where it's that kind of middle-of-the-road hard rock that, it kind of has a swagger and something to it, but they really encompass everything that the gamut of what Warrant is and has been,
And what I like now is, it's starting to get to the point where when you hear Robert Mason, it used to be like, oh, well, that's Robert Mason, but now it's like, that's Warrant,
Right.
I mean, it's becoming its own thing again, and a lot of bands can't do that twice, so it was really cool that they can do it.
Yeah. And I've said it before, every time we talk about Warrant, it's like if you're one of those people that won't give this band a chance because you don't like the fact that, well, obviously Jani Lane's passed away, but you don't like the fact that they're playing without him, you've got to give it a chance just because he's not one of those guys up there that's mimicking Jani Lane's voice. He does extreme justice to all the Warrant hits, but he brings his own style to it as well.
Exactly.
And the band still sounds great. You've got all original members there except Jani Lane.
Yeah, and if you're in that ilk, we get it, none of us like to see, band members pass away or change, but, just still, though, try as hard as you can to give this a chance.
Yeah. Warrant, I'm glad they play as many shows as they do a year.
That's right.
And we've got to see them several times in the past
awesome.
years. Yeah. So, number 6 is Darkness Remains from Night Demon.
Yes.
And this is another band.
I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah, that we really latched on to
Yeah.
this year. And I want to give a shout out to your cousin Justin.
Yes, definitely.
He runs Egotastic Fun Time, and now he's got the show Talking to Orville, who, before we even listened to him, he's like, you got to check out my friend's band Night Demon.
Yes.
You know, because he grew up with Jarvis, the singer. And I was like, all right. But you know how people tell you to check out a band? You're like, all right. And then you never get around to doing it. And finally he's like, dude, these guys are coming, to the Sound Pony. Fucking listen to them.
Yeah.
And we listened to him, and it was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's like, what? who in... It was great, because, like, I think he grew up with both Armand and Jarvis.
Oh, that's right.
I think.
Or it was Armand that he grew up with, and Jarvis.
Yeah, my other cousin Josh grew up with Jarvis. And it's like, who'd have thought that these friends of my cousin, because usually, hey, I got some friends that are in a band. Okay, whatever. But this is like, holy fuck, where have we been? Because this is just like, this is right up our fucking alley.
Yeah, Curse of the Damned came out in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in 2016 they were on that tour with Crowbar, right?
Okay.
Was that right?
Oh, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Like towards the end of the year. And that's when he had told me that.
Yes.
That, hey, this band I know is opening up for Crowbar, and someone else, like, wasn't Overkill. Someone else kind of at that level. But anyway, then we finally started listening to it maybe at the end of that year when we heard Curse of the Damned. And I was like, holy crap.
Yes.
And then Darkness Remains came out right after, a couple months after that, and it was right after we actually saw him live and had him on the podcast.
Yes.
And then we saw him again opening up for Anvil.
Yeah.
I think maybe that was after the album was out. But regardless, this album came out. They talked about it on a podcast. They actually said there would be a surprise on there, and that was, I believe, We Will Rock You, their cover of that.
That's right, yeah.
Which is the first thing to jump out. You kind of a new wave of British heavy metal version of We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
And this whole album that's the best way to describe to someone that doesn't know would be, they fall kind of into that new wave of British heavy metal category.
These guys are
a mix of modern metal.
Yeah, these guys are steeped in the new wave of British heavy metal. They were telling us about bands that we'd never heard of from way back that we ended up checking out. These guys are, they're signed to Century Media. They're tearing it up in Europe. Welcome to the Night, Black
the first
Widow.
3 songs.
Yeah, it's just
Made in Hell.
It's
Flight of the Manticore.
I love it. It's perfect. It's right up our alley type kind of stuff. I can't get enough of this record. I've listened to it over and over.
I think Turn Up the Night was one they were playing live before the album came out as well.
Yeah.
Along with Welcome to the Night.
Yep.
They love the word night.
Yes, and that's okay.
Because Screams in the Night, from the first album, and of course, Night Demon.
And, I like, and also, they've got their distinct logo. They've got a mascot, kind of like all that kind of stuff, and this is just what I like is it's got that spirit of the older bands, but it's new sound and it's fresh and it's something we can latch onto that's ours,
Yeah.
It's just fucking cool, man.
And the thing is, these are 3 guys that are not only great at what they do, they fucking love music.
Yes.
And we know that because, like I said, go back and listen to that episode that they're on. And we'd even talked to him again at the Anvil show. And we talked to Dusty for quite a while.
Yes.
Who's the newest member of the band, the drummer. And this dude, he's covered in tattoos of, like, my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Warrant.
He's got Guns N' Roses. He's even got Poison.
Yeah.
Saxon, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just, it's like kindred spirits in a way.
Yeah. So, like I said, go back, check that out. Fun episode. Looking forward to hopefully seeing these guys again in 2018.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're getting into the top 5.
All right, kind of the meat of it all here.
Yeah. So, before we mention these top 5, just at a glance, this top 5 includes 3 bands that we've liked since we were young.
Yes.
One of them. Yeah, all 3. I'll say that about Iced Earth as well.
Yeah.
Since at least the 90s,
Younger.
Yeah, younger. 20 years at least, And then we've got 2 bands that have came on the radar in the past few years and stolen my heart, so to speak.
I like when you talk in that voice. I just got to say.
Well, kicking off the top 5 is Iced Earth and Incorruptible.
Yeah.
One of the greatest heavy metal bands in the world, who also falls into that category of what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah, exactly.
I know there's a lot of people that listen to him and like him, but if you find 100 metalheads on the street, probably 50 of them you wouldn't even know who the fuck this is if I told them about Iced Earth.
Exactly.
And this is a band that has a catalog going clear back to the early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and it's phenomenal from the get-go. Hashtag I'll kill her, no filler.
Oh, man, yeah.
All three, sorry to keep talking about all
ahead.
3 eras of this band, all 3 vocalists.
That's right.
You know, everybody used to always say, oh, Matt Barlow's the best. I can't even say, all 3 of these guys to me are like equal.
That's right.
Like John Schaefer knows what he's doing, and Stu Block is as good as Ripper and Matt Barlow, and to me, he is a combination of the 2 of their styles put together.
Oh, yeah. John Schaefer's a genius.
Yeah.
And his right hand's a genius, too.
Right.
I mean, that's a riffing hand that it's up there with Scott Ian and James Hetfield.
Yeah.
I mean, and these songs, I mean, fuck, man. It just, there's nothing ever bad comes from this guy, ever.
Yeah. And just, yeah, the songwriting. And I mean, I heard him, he did that interview with Eddie Trunk a couple weeks ago, and he talked about how, you know, because Eddie Trunk asked him about the writing and if it was all him, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked about how he's always, even with Matt and Tim Ripper, he would give him a song and say, if you want to write lyrics, do it.
Yeah.
You know, or not, he would just write a song about, you know, an old war or something
Yeah,
if they didn't write a song. And, you know, he said Stu's been the same way. And so I think because I used to always think it was him, you know.
Yeah.
He did everything. So it's kind of cool to hear, you know, more people have input, but this album has a lot of that cool. It's not a concept like some of the other ones are, but it kicks off with the Great Heathen Army.
Yeah.
And that song is like one of the highlights with that, you know, Viking style, you know, rum drinking type thing, you know. And then it just gets into everything like Black Flag and Raven Wing are the 2 they released before the album came out.
Seven-headed whore. That's
Yeah.
I almost fucked the title up. Seven-headed whore is fucking awesome.
Yeah. That's like classic Iced Earth.
Yeah, it is.
And then you get in like at the end, you know, the Clear the Way. That's another epic, huge, you know, grand thing from John Schaefer.
Yeah.
And this album is just a solid album from start to finish. And, you know, we saw him, I think about 2 years ago with this lineup. And, you know, Stu does huge justice to the old stuff.
Yeah.
And this, you know, this band to me is so good that if I went to a show and they said we're playing nothing but the last 2 albums, I wouldn't give a shit.
Oh,
I wouldn't care if I didn't get to hear any of the old stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't break my heart.
Yeah.
That's how good this stuff is.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, they can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to go find that interview with Eddie Trunk. I missed that totally.
Yeah, it's actually the first time I listened to Eddie Trunk in months just because I saw John Schaefer was going to be on there. Well, number 4 is the Night Flight Orchestra.
Yeah. And anytime these guys release an album, they're on our list.
Yeah, this is their 3rd album, and the first 2, I think, were number 1.
Yeah.
Both. I think they were number 1 both years they came out.
Yeah.
Because we had these lists, you know, we put them on Instagram and Facebook before we did this podcast. And if it wasn't 1, that second one might have been number 2. But regardless, this is the lowest they've ever fell on our list.
And that's just because there's so much good stuff out.
Yeah.
Not that this album lacked in any way.
No. But I think it doesn't lack in any way. But the first 2 albums are like so fucking strong that this one is slightly below those in my opinion.
Okay.
But it's still so good that, you know, it's here on number 4 on our list.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's not strong at all. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And Midnight Flyer was the kickoff song on this album, and to me, that might be their best song they ever did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the hook is just insane.
Yeah, and it's just pure what you've come to know from this band, and can't stress enough about this band that people don't. This is another band a lot of people don't know, and you need to get on board with. Like, if you like real heavy stuff, it's not going to be what you're wanting to hear, because it's like hugely. It's a band of 5 guys that come from way heavier bands. You've got guys from Soilwork and Arch Enemy that are doing something that they think is fun.
Yeah.
And they're paying homage to basically arena rock, 70s classic rock, and they've even moved more on this one into more kind of even the 80s arena stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of like that kind of 80s album rock type kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to love this stuff. It's got the keyboards and the organs, but also the guitar solos, and it's just, yeah.
Because before it was always like, oh, this is reminiscent of, like Kiss or Sammy Hagar or Boston or something.
Yeah,
and now it's like, you can say some songs, this is reminiscent of like ELO. They kind of went in that direction.
I get that, yeah.
Just
definitely.
on a few songs.
Yeah.
They still got the heavier stuff like Midnight Flyer.
Yeah.
But just this whole thing, man. Jenny is a great one.
Oh, man.
More of your mid-tempo rocker, like you said. Groove Latin rocker.
What a hook. I love Josephine. I love Saturn and Velvet. But yeah, Jenny's fucking great.
Yeah, Saturn and Velvet is another classic, epic, huge, long song from them. Kind of like West Ruth Avenue. It was that huge, long epicness.
Yeah.
But yeah, even there's stuff on here that remind me of Fleetwood Mac. I can't say enough good things about Night Flight Orchestra. And it's another band I dream maybe one day we'll see live, but I doubt that ever happens.
Yeah, I would freak out if I got to see this band live. I don't know what I'd do with myself.
Yeah. And Bjorn from Soilwork, it's just amazing that this is in this guy because we've known him for 15. I mean, I've been listening to Soilwork since early 2000s, so we've known what this guy's capable of. But then this has even expanded that tenfold.
I know, it's great.
And every album, it seems like his voice is a little bit broader than it was before.
I know, he can do no wrong, and his voice is so vast.
Yeah. Well, getting in the top 3, we've got a band that we've grown up with.
Oh, man.
And that's Living Colour.
Yeah.
Their new album's called Shade.
Since, 1988?
Yeah. That's when Vivid hit, right?
Yeah, I mean, and they've always kind of been on our radar. A lot of people just kind of go right to Cult of Personality, and that was a big hit, and I get that, but these guys have always been prolific, and this new album is no different.
Yeah. I think the first song they released was Come On, and I'm like, man, I dig this. It had some weird guitar sounds, but I mean, that kind of digital kind of thing, but this is Vernon Reid, and he's always been a innovative kind of guy. He's never stuck to what you expect to hear. So you got to appreciate that. But the song Come On, first time I heard it, it's one of those songs that you're singing along with before the song even ends the first time you hear it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And I'm like, if this is any indication of the album, this is going to be great. And it was.
Yeah.
Because the whole album, like the song Program might be my favorite.
Yeah.
And this album has a lot of politically themed lyrics, but that's Living Colour. That's what they're known for.
You're going to get that,
And even if you're one of those people that don't like politics in your music or whatever, it doesn't matter because you can listen to this and it's not like in your face to where you have to like really get into what he's saying. It's just such great music. And Corey Glover is one of the most underrated vocalists of our generation.
Oh, man. I hate to use a line from American Idol, but that guy could sing the phone book. He could sing you the manual of a toaster, and it would be amazing.
Right.
I mean, that guy, he does, and still, after so many years, he can still go places with his voice that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But getting back to this album, I mean, freedom of expression, Glass Teeth is badass.
Yeah, Glass Teeth.
I love Pattern in Time. I'm really, I like Chair in the Doorway. That was a great album, but this one just, I even like Who Shot You, this one just, it struck a chord with me this time. And, I just love everything surrounding it. Vernon Reid's been on like 2 or 3 different podcasts and he's just so fun to listen to, just talk and the way he talks about his music. And he's such he's a classic player, but he's also completely out of the box at the same time. And I'm so glad that people are still responding to this band. I'm just so glad they're around. and they just, since I've been 12 years old, they've always been in my Walkman or my Discman or in my phone.
Even that album Stain, that was great.
That was a great Leave It Alone. What a great fucking song.
Yeah.
But I mean, this just, these guys, and they're fucking amazing live. We've got to see them a couple times over the years, and it's just absolutely nuts what they can do live. It's great.
Yeah, as recent as 2015, and it's not, we just mentioned Vernon Reid and Corey Glover, but Will Calhoun. I mean, these guys.
Doug Wimbish, yeah. I mean, they're amazing.
It's just another one of those bands where, all four guys are at the top of their game and as good as almost anyone at their respective instrument, right. So it's just, we saw them as recent as 2015, and I just, twice in my life isn't enough, I hope.
I want to see them again, yeah.
And it's both times have been at festivals, and I hope that one day to be able to see a full-on headline show from these guys.
Yeah, it'd be great.
And I'm really glad, I didn't think it would, because I knew before this came out, this would be on my list probably because we knew it would be good. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it'd be as high as it fell on my list.
Yeah. But
I'm really glad that this is number 3 on our list, because it's it's...
yeah.
That just makes me happy that this band released an album that's this great and makes me this happy,
Exactly. And, for some reason, Living Colour, those guys are a completely different background, a different age, a different, view, everything from me. But at the same time, when I listen to their records, I feel like they're speaking for me or speaking to me, and I can identify with it, even though it's, completely different, But I think that's the power of music, and I think that's, that's what, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely, this is another one I urge you to listen to if you haven't yet. Even just a few of those songs I think, should grab you if you like hard rock music,
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, number 2.
We're getting down to it here.
Yeah, this is getting to the nitty gritty. And Sons of Texas, Forged by Fortitude. This is their second album.
Yes.
Their first album was number 1 on our top 15 of 2015.
Yes.
And this is
your fucking 15 to 15, 16 to 16 shit. Damn it, Trent.
Well, here we are again. So their first 2 albums have made the top 2 both times.
Yeah.
So that says a lot to me how much both of us like these guys.
I
and
can't,
especially for a new band where their first 2 albums are at the top of our list both times.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when we talked about this record when it came out. I can't geek out enough. It's literally like these 5 guys, got together and said, "Oh, let's make an album for Jason." I mean, it's just everything about metal and hard rock that I love. Everything.
And you made a great point the last time we talked about them, was that they're one of those bands that merge that line between hard rock and heavy metal, where you could call them either one.
Yeah, it's like you could go, like I always like to say, you could go liquid metal or you could go octane.
Yeah.
Even though some out there might not know what I'm talking about.
But Forged by Fortitude, the song itself, the title track,
oh yeah,
is one of my favorite songs on this album.
Yeah.
I'm glad when we saw them recently opening for Alter Bridge, they played that, even though they had a short set.
Yes.
That song's just balls to the wall and a great indication for someone of what this band is about, if you haven't heard them. And then on the flip side, we've both talked numerous times about Beneath the Riverbed and how great this is, and that's the other end of the spectrum, where this is more of like a ballad type song.
It's your hard rock hook, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's just huge, epic, drenched in blues kind of for these guys, and so well written, and just like lyrically, and the chorus, is one of those ones that just gets stuck in your head and I want to just listen to over and over. And the song's over 4 minutes long, and I just don't want it to end when it ends. I want to just hit replay.
Yeah, it's their shining moment, It really is.
And then you've got Turning the Page, which is another amazing slower song. And that one has more of a, I don't know what the right word is. It's got more of almost, an old, like a 90s feel to it, like than some of their stuff.
Yeah, I get that. Feed the Need, that's a great one.
Yeah. And then getting further into the album, they're one of those bands that even when you get deep into the album, like I said, Forged by Fortitude, that's close to the end, but the songs surrounding it, Jaded Eyes, Wasp Woman, and Slam with the Lights On are all just epic songs that you just sing along with, you know?
Slam with the Lights On, just like Texas Trim, we got to have a song about boning.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's their new calling card. The final song on the album is about boning.
If they come out with a third one, well, not if, we know they will because they're fucking badass. But if the last song's not about fucking, I'm going to have a problem.
Right.
Okay? Because I've come to expect that now, damn it.
Yeah, it'll happen. And I think it's Cast in Stone, which is the one that kicks off with that acoustic and the harmonies that sounds like Alice in Chains.
Okay.
And then once it kicks in, it doesn't anymore. But just that opening, I'm like, man, that's cool. It's almost like an homage type thing.
Yes.
But I just, like I said, I love that a band is brand new, only has 2 albums, and both times they've been number 1 and number 2 on our lists.
Definitely.
So to me, that says a lot about what these guys are, and that, you know, for the rest of their careers, we're going to be fans. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah. I mean, I want to rent an apartment with all of them. I mean,
that's how much you love them.
I'm telling you. But all joking aside, well, I'm not joking. But anyways, just no, for real. You know, we've had these guys on the podcast twice. Go check it out. I mean, it's great stuff.
Yeah. John and Jess have both been on here. Well, moving in to the final spot on our list.
Number 1, maybe put in a drum roll here. I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
But this is this is the number 1 of the whole year, and we feel it's super fucking deserving.
That's right. A place where there's no more pain from Life of Agony.
Yes.
And
they returned this year with one fucking hell of an album.
This is a band that we both knew their album would likely be on our list.
Yes.
And we both knew it would probably be high. So once it came out and I really kept listening to it, I'm like, man, it's going to be hard pressed for anyone to beat this as the year goes on. Because this came out like back in, I think, April?
Yeah.
And nothing did. I kept thinking, well, if COC ends up releasing that album, that might be a contender.
Yeah.
For me, with this, how much as I love COC, but they didn't release it, so there's no one to contend here.
Yeah.
Sons of Texas, for me, was the only thing that I could have bumped into one.
I agonized over these two quite a bit.
Really?
Quite a bit.
And even when I was making my final list, I thought, well, just to be sure, I'm going to listen to these 2 albums again back to back, and I decided, nope, Life of Agony is still number 1. And for good reason.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're back. This album, you know, there's nothing wrong with Broken Valley, but this album fucking blows it away.
I mean,
that's for me. You know, I don't want to say anything bad about Broken Valley, but this is back to where I love it as much as the first 2 albums.
Yes.
And in, you know, I love Soul Searching Sun, and I know a lot of people got lost on that one, but this is up there with the best stuff they've ever done.
Yeah. Well, you know, what I've always said about Life of Agony is every record they've done always has its own sound and its own vibe, but it always still sounds like Life of Agony.
Right.
You know, no matter what's going on. And this is no different, but what's cool with this one is it's like not only did they do something new and made something that sounded different, but it's like they took a lot of their old stuff and mixed it up and threw it in this one where you hear that could have been on this, that could have been on that.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, it wasn't derivative or anything. And it made for a really strong fucking record. I think Mina's voice sounds great. It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, there's so many hooks and it's just.
Can you pick one song that's your favorite song? Or is this one of those albums where it's like,
I don't know,
maybe
because
this,
I really
maybe
well, Meet My Maker, I've always fucking loved. I thought that was great. But I also, you know, I loved A New Low too. So I don't know. I don't know. Those 2 would probably be, but see, you got the title track. That's fucking great too. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, as Josta would say, everyone's a banger.
Right.
You know, and then the Little Spots of You, I think, has to be talked about because it's just so, like, it's haunting. And it's kind of like you said, it's like, it feels like we even shouldn't even be listening to it because it's so like private or haunting or, however. And it's just, and it's a great end to an album. And, I think the story of what this band's been through and the back and forth and it's kind of like they're coming out on top with this record that sounds, like kind of the best thing they've done in years, maybe the best thing they've ever done. So it's just, this had to be my number one. It had to be.
Right.
And I've been a rabid fan since I was a kid anyway. So, I just, it's like, yeah, I'm going to like anything they do, sure. But, this really, really stuck to me from the get-go.
Right.
More than, the other 17 albums that we've talked about.
Right. Yeah, this was an album that once I put it on and played it the first time and listened to it a second time, this, it happens a couple times a year with albums. Like, I'll just hear it and, like, I can't stop listening to this to a point to where, like, okay, I've got to stop listening to this or else I'm going to get, like, burned out.
Yeah.
And, I listened to it, like, 6 or 8 times that weekend it came out. And, slowed down for a minute, but then just kept going back. Even when a new album would come out, and I'm like, this is cool. And then I just listened to Life of Agony again after that.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, the Little Spots of You, the whole thing, Mina's lyrics throughout this whole thing. This is never, this isn't anything new. Their whole career, the lyrics have always been deeply personal.
Oh, yeah.
And, can mean a lot to anybody, but you can tell they're always coming from, a place of pain, I guess is a good way to put it.
Definitely.
And Little Spots of You, like you mentioned, we talked about that, is just one that's always almost even more than normal. And you're like, wow, you feel uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
But this whole, like, Bag of Bones is the same way lyrically, and to me, that's my favorite song on this album, is just everything about it. It just is Life of Agony to the core. And that's just, like, one of my favorite Life of Agony songs of all time now.
Yeah.
And you could just go through this is one of those albums you can go through every single song and say, well, this is good enough to be the best song on the album.
Yeah, you don't need to skip anything.
Right.
And it's like I said, every album has its own vibe. And the fact that they hadn't done an album in so long, and then you heard they were going to do one, you're like, oh, fuck, who knows where this is going to go. And so for it to come out and be that strong it was fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then you've got songs like A Place Where There's No More Pain and World Gone Mad that you can hear that these are probably going to be in the live sets for the rest of their career.
Yeah, World Gone Mad. Wow.
Yeah. It's just one of those songs you can just listen to on repeat and it just keep screaming along to it, man. But yeah, I'm like so glad that they came back and put out an album that's worthy of being a number one on the list. And I'm glad that I've seen everybody else that I've talked to or seen online talking about it, even if it's not in their number one album. Everybody
how good it
is talking about how great it is and, has it on their lists and things like that. And then we just got the news, in this past week or two, that Sal's out of the band now. Sal
Aberscott, he left. So, I'm sure they'll get somebody.
Yeah. But that's a band, man. I've never seen him live with Mina Caputo or Keith back in the day.
You didn't? Remember the thing at Diamond Bar in Oklahoma City? You didn't go to that? With Flaw opening?
Oh, okay, yeah, I did go to that.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Because I was saying the other time I saw him was when Whitfield Crane was in the band.
Yeah.
And you saw him opening for Megadeth, right?
Yeah, with Whitfield Crane.
Oh, that was with Whitfield Crane, okay. But yeah, I'd seen him at Ozfest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been, even that was almost 20 years ago.
I know.
Right?
I know.
So it's been since the 90s either way.
And that's how, important this shit is to us. That's how long they've been around and how long we've listened to them.
Yeah.
It's great.
Maybe by the time we see him live, you'll have that Life of Agony tattoo.
I know. I keep saying I'm going to do it. The next one I get's going to be that one. So, one of these days I'm going to get around to it.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We knocked out another one.
There's your top 17.
2017. Run back through real quick. We had Accept, Prong. I always say Accept. And I know some people say Accept.
Accept. Sometimes I do that. I don't know.
Whichever way. check that out. And we had Prong, Cheap Trick, Powertrip, and Inglorious, Tricounty Terror, Body Count, Danko Jones, Black Country Communion, Rancid, Warrant, Night Demon, and the top 5 was Iced Earth, Night Flight Orchestra, Living Color, Sons of Texas, and Life of Agony.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spanned the gamut of styles of music. We had pretty much everything but death metal, but neither one of us have ever been death metal guys anyway.
No. But, let us know what you think of our list.
Let us know what's on your list.
What's on
not
your
on
list.
ours.
Hit us up on, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, whatever. There's what it is.
That's right. Well, looking forward to 2018, we've got Machine Head and COC both have their albums coming out here in the next month.
Yeah, it's going to be insane.
Mid-January for COC and late January for Machine Head.
And the songs we've heard from those records so far are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
my guess is when you're listening to us in a year, those two bands are going to be in the top 5 or probably the top 5, top 10 at least,
Saxon's got a new one coming out, and Thunderbolt, that's a great fucking song.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for that. Judas Priest.
That's right. Judas Priest has that album coming out, and they're doing their big tour. Then I put Rammstein down on the list of stuff I'm looking forward to, and I said this last year. Mm-hmm. But I said COC last year, too, because both of those bands, there was rumors they had albums coming out this year. But so I'm sure we'll get that Rammstein in 2018. Then Avatar's got this new one. I've liked every couple songs I've heard.
The song you played me a little bit ago was really cool.
Yeah. And then Satriani has a new one. And I'm guessing it's Due Time for Megadeth because they're pretty much on the 2-year schedule.
Yep.
And then Miles Kennedy has this solo album coming out that sounds like it could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I saw a thing where Kerry King said a new Slayer record could come out this year.
Okay.
It's maybe conceivable, so we'll see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's going to be some good stuff to look forward to in 2018.
Dimmu Borgir for all you black metal fans.
Do they really have a new one coming?
I saw a thing where they've been working on it, but I don't know. Even a lot of black metal guys don't really classify them as black metal anymore.
Right.
They're not hard enough.
Well, when did they...
I should have said that.
How long have they been gone?
Accent.
Yeah. We're not hard enough.
Fuck. Who was that last?
Because it's been a long time.
Yeah, where they were wearing all the white stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you listening. Go back, dig through some of these 2017 episodes. Like we said, we had a few of these bands on that made our list. We've also had tons of other great stuff this year. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then like us everywhere else.
Definitely.
Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us reviews and ratings there and anywhere you listen to us, no matter where it is. If it's there or SoundCloud or TuneIn or Mixcloud, we appreciate it. You can find us pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. Also find them on YouTube as well, at The Thunder Underground. Facebook is /The Thunder Underground. And we've got over 150 episodes you can go back and check out. Gene Simmons has been on here. Bruce Kulick, John Connolly from Seven Dust, Reed Mullen from COC. And like we said earlier, we've had on guys from Sons of Texas and Night Demon.
Warrant.
Yeah, Warrant. That kind of covers the people we listed today.
Yeah.
We've talked about all these other bands, and you kind of dig back through. We talked about this Life of Agony album when it came out for like 15 minutes. Same with Sons of Texas.
Yeah.
But yeah, go back and check those out. We appreciate it. We appreciate you listening in 2017 and spread the word in 2018. We'll keep them coming. Next week, we've got Brent from U.S. Bastards and Gore. And we're also going to be talking about this No Legacy record that came out that Eric Kluber put together.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah, be looking forward to that as well. That'll be the first episode of 2018. Once again, we appreciate you listening. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.